I'm from an NGO background, and I still believe that I'm an academic still, an academic in the politician mode, mode or rather. And I would like to still, be very, what I mean by being academic is to be, intellectual as well, in the sense that I'm principle-centered. I would always be principle-centered more than, being partisan. And my partisan belief must be premised on principles and solid grounds and arguments, which are more knowledge based. That's how I see myself. I'm not trying to brag nor apologize, but that's my principle, and I hope I will remain and sustain that kind of, I will not along the way sort of degenerate into anything else. So, as a political, quote political animal or whatever, but don't quote me on that one. I wouldn't want to be. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be a Machiavellian kind of politician. I want to always remain principle-centered, working for the betterment of society, of nation as a whole, and I would be, all those good principles that I cherish. Now that I'm partisan, yes, I'm in PAS, yes, I'm in Pakatan Rakyat, but insofar as, fighting for the betterment of society, I will be always bipartisan, and I believe why I'm in PAS and now in Pakatan is because, it provides for the check and balance and the creation of a two-party system. So I chose to be with PAS because it's more akin to my conviction. Although at that point in time, I know that PAS was just beginning to mainstream themselves, but I saw the potential, and in fact, for that reason alone, I felt the calling to be joining PAS rather than PKN at that time, Parti Keadilan Nasional, now PKR. So a few of us, we thought that, and we were sort of invited by the late President Mustafa Noor. Now, NGOs, professional academics should be helping PAS. And that was why we came in the drove, that was a real push after Reformasi in 1999. And somehow, I never regretted leaving academia.
How do you think public perception towards PAS has changed since 2008?
Since 2008, I would believe that to the majority of Malaysians, they're beginning to understand PAS. 2008 was a watershed in the sense that it was that demarcation line. It was, I would say, the tipping point of those who once upon a time had a lot of, at best, misgivings, and at worst, I would say, contempt, distrust and contempt, bordering contempt. But after 2008, there was a willingness to allow PAS to be given a chance. And once upon a time, they say, well, we prefer the devil that we know, essentially UMNO, rather than the angels that we do not know, as PAS. They look at PAS as, well, they are Islamists, yes, these people, they do not bribe, they do not, they do not do the wrong thing, they do not discriminate others, but they weren't sure what's up their sleeve. And all this, provides for others to entrench that negative stereotypings. And the political opponents, particularly UMNO and MCA, they have very venomous way of demonizing us, putting a very black picture of us, PAS, if they come into power, they will enforce Islam, Hudud and Islamic State on everyone, not just the Muslims. So all those were once upon a time the negative stereotypings. But after 2008, you could see that, the walls of prejudices, because we came in, we craft a strategy. I'll dare say this to you, retrospectively though. We crafted a strategy called inoculation strategy. We inoculate all those, negative prejudices on us by, coming up with a tagline that is more friendly, it's more inclusive, not because for, propagandist purposes though, but more because we believe that that is Islam. Islam is inclusive. Islam is justice for all. The supreme purpose of Sharia is justice, regardless of race, culture, and religion. So why are we not using this in a language that will be comprehensible to the entire electorate and the rakyat? Why? Because we are stuck to that dogma of Islamic State, perhaps once upon a time, and hudud. But those are not agenda that can entice and excite, the expectation and the hope of the people. So that was when we came face to face with understanding ourselves, what has gone wrong in 2004. So that was when we, perhaps that's what you call progressive, that's what you call being moderate, but Islam is moderate. Islam is about moderation, because it's not moderate in the sense that you neither, go, but Islam is that. Moral policing is such a pain in the neck of past. I think more for the lack of the ability to explain on what is moral policing. I think this word moral policing has been in a way abused. Abused, and in the sense that, nobody really quite understand what is moral policing. And I must admit as well myself that I have not written anything on moral policing to date. Now, going back to jurisprudence, if law is what we are talking about, I think all modality of jurisprudence, Islamic or non-Islamic, civil and others, you go back to the Torah, the Old Testament, New Testament, whenever anything that is in the form of, the do's and don'ts, and when it comes with the do's and don'ts, the punishment and the, what comes with it by way of omissions and commissions, what they call sins of omissions and commission, then you have that aspect of punishment. And with that come along what is known as moral policing. Oh, if I may just continue a bit more. So this is the reason why, for example, the scholars have argued that the reason why the punishment of adultery must come with its solid evidence of 4 eyewitnesses. The 4 eyewitnesses, if you go back into the wisdom of Islamic jurisprudence, you will understand that how the scholars are arguing on this goes to show that the performance, the sinful act, the illicit whatever, performed by those engaged in this adultery must have been done in a place able to be viewed by at least 4 eyes, 4 eyewitnesses. Meaning, it's not done in the secret, private confine of their home. In other words, it's just not corrupting their own self. It is as well corrupting the minds of the public, which is the more important, thing that must be safeguarded by the Islamic Sharia or the Islamic jurisprudence. So from that point of view, you could see that, in other words, conversely though, if I may conversely saying it, that if you if you are one of those who have seen adultery being committed, out of for whatever reason, or incidentally for whatever, and you alone, scholars are saying that you just go away and walk away without even bothering. Now, what is that teaching us? You see, I think those are things that must be addressed properly, because the idea of moral policing is not meant to intrude the privacy of what is known as private life. For as long as it is observed within, so this is why I said it's a very difficult subject. Someone in the Facebook, someone in Twitter asking me to write on moral policy. I have still not find enough courage to pen it down, because I know that it requires a very delicate handling of the issues, because you must address it from all dimensions, and this is, for the time being, I wouldn't like to be saying this, but sometimes overzealousness alone is not doing a good service to Islam, and in fact, on the contrary, is doing a great disservice. However, though, with the backdrop of social decadencies, and with unwanted babies, thrown around like this, that response from responsible people, I think, must as well be taken note of seriously.
UMNO Malaysia.